You're listening to the right episode if you wanted to hear all things Frank Garay and how he continues to make a massive impact in this industry and in our organization and in my life. My dear friend Frank Garay is joining us. Hey guys, I'm your host, Steve Kiles. This is a Loan Officer Leadership Podcast. We're powered by the Mortgage Marketing Animals. And today we've got a great guest, and not just a guest, but one of my dear friends that we get to just do life together, and it is so much fun. Frank Garay, what's up, my man?
Oh man, just coming out of my skin, ready to go, brother. Let's do this thing. Come on.
And what people don't know is it's like 5 a.m. for you in California.
That's right,
So,
baby. Best
dude,
part of the day. Let's
man,
go.
We just got off the Loan Officer Breakfast Club, and you know what I was saying, Frank? You got to get on my podcast. We got to just talk. Man, I love it. I love what you're doing. And in this episode, man, I want to take a deep dive into Frank Garay because, I can remember I've been doing this for 20 years. And Frank, I remember when you and Brian did it was Think Big, Work Small. And man, you guys were changing the industry, and it was lightning in a bottle. And it was like, everybody knows Frank and Brian. And then you changed over to, what was it? The
National Real Estate Post.
There you go. National Real Estate Post.
Which is what it is today. Yeah.
It's still going, still running strong. And you
yeah.
joined us 2 years ago here at the Marketing Animals. And man, it's been a fun journey. And I thought, let's just kind of pull the curtain back and let's talk to Frank. I want to hear some more of the story. How did you get in the business? And literally, it was funny. Carl and I talked about it. It literally, you're probably one of the top 5 recognized people in this industry. And so tell us about that, man. Tell us your journey and how'd you get here?
Wow. Well, and I'll condense this to make it just, not so long and drawn out, but, bro, high school wasn't the best student, right? Just kind of getting my way through. I was an artist, I was like a guitar player and I wanted to do those things. And I didn't want to be an academic or anything like that, but that caused some problems, of course, as it would. But anyway, when I got out, I did come to grips with things like, oh, now I'm out of high school and drinking beer in an orchard. Like, you might want to start looking at something. So I joined the Navy, man. I went in the Navy, and that was a kind of a light switch moment for me. I've had a few of those in my life where it's just like, I'm going to join the Navy, went down, joined the Navy, did that for 6 years. I was stationed in Hawaii on submarines doing that. When I got out of the Navy,
hey, just curious, what did you do in the Navy? Like, were you?
I was a radio man. Yeah, and I worked on cryptographic equipment. We repaired our own gear as radio men on submarines. On ships, you have electronic technicians that fix the stuff. You just operate it, but in submarines, you don't have enough people, so you have to operate it and fix it. So I was fixing cryptographic equipment, which would, encode all the messages and all that kind of stuff.
That is crazy cool.
It was weird, man.
How long would you be underwater? I know totally off subject,
well, there's 2 types of submarines. There's what they call fast attacks, and there's what they call boomers. The boomers are the ones with the big ballistic missiles, right? And those are gigantic submarines. They're massive. But those guys will go out there and spin circles in the water for like 6 months. I'm not kidding you. Like, they'll just sit there and spin in the water forever and ever and ever, and then come back. I was on a fast attack. So fast attacks, we go out and sink ships and sink other submarines. That's our job. We blow things up, right? So we didn't, we were smaller, faster, so we didn't have enough room for supplies, food, that kind of a thing. So the longest we would go out was maybe 2.5 months, something like that. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's kind of weird to be out in a tube for 2.5 months. My last deployment, it kind of started to close in on me, man. I was kind of like, I got to get out of here, But anyway, I got out of the Navy, and then, long and short of it, I was in Hawaii, and I hit up my mother, who's a longtime real estate agent. She still sells out. She's 80 years old, Steve. She can't stop selling real estate because she's like, what else am I going to do? I just want to sit around. But anyway, I called her and I said, hey, maybe I'll do that real estate thing, and I flew out to California from Hawaii, and I went around, which she took me around for a day. She hooked me up with an appraiser friend of hers. We went around with him for a day, and then she hooked me up with a loan officer friend of hers, the guy who did her loans, and went around with him for a day. And it was just no brainer for me. It was like, I like that loan thing. Those guys are cool. Like there was something about those guys, and just the way that you got your business, and it was just a really neat environment. So that's how I got into the loan biz. That's kind of where it all started.
Okay. So you're in the loan business now. How does that equate to the impact you've had in video? And I mean, walk us through that.
So just, when I got in 1987 is when I got into the business, and then, went through, working for a small brokerage. And then of course, like a lot of guys do, and I know we all experience this, we bring on somebody new, then all of a sudden they think they know it all. Then they're going to open their own shop. Right. So that happens all the time. And I did it, right. I opened up my own little brokerage and ran that for quite some time. And then it was the year 2000, and I had gone through there was a lot of personal things that I went through, and so I was kind of in a dark space. And but in the year 2000, I kind of shook it off. Another light switch moment was like, I got to shake this off. I got to get my act together. I wound up working with First Washington Mutual for about 6 months. I don't know if anybody remembers them, but then I got courted by WAMU, baby, the pick and pays. I still love those loans, but then they were great. Then Wells Fargo courted me away, and I worked with them for about 3 years. And then after that, I felt like, and so this is like 2003, 2004, something like that. And then I felt like, I'm gonna go back to the broker side. Nothing wrong with Wells. They were great. Actually, I learned a ton from those guys. Like, it was an extremely good experience, but I just wanted to go back to the broker side and went to a company called First Priority. And then the crash came, but before the crash came, as things were starting to change, it just got kind of weird, I was like, I got to do something. So, because I had like 50 guys working underneath me, Steve, and I had 3 brick and mortar, buildings that I was paying for, and just, making a lot of money. But then things were changing. I thought I gotta do something. So that's when I stumbled on video. And it was July 2nd, 2007 that I made my first one with my brother. And I emailed that to my team, and then it went over really well. And then just, I called my business partner at the time. His name was Leo Schrupp. And I said, I'm going to do this every day. And he goes, good luck. I don't know how you think you're going to do. What are you going to talk about? I go, I don't know, but I'm going to do this every day, And so I just started doing it every day with my brother for about 6 months. And then my brother had to quit because we couldn't pay him, because the crash was on. Now the crash is on, I couldn't pay him, but our broker at the mortgage shop that I was in said, man, keep doing it, because I'm sending this to my people, so keep doing this, please. And I said, well, my brother quit. And I go, I don't know. It's kind of a 2-guy show. And he says, oh, go, you got to get Brian, man. And I go, I hate that guy. And then Brian didn't like me either. And everybody kind of knows the story. We didn't like each other, but man, then we became extremely close friends. He agreed to do it with me. And then we kind of took off from there. It was about 2000. And we did it, Steve, for about 2 years before we really got some traction. So it took some time. This wasn't like, all of a sudden everybody knew us. It was about 2000. It was about 2009, 2010 that suddenly we had a couple of videos we did that were pretty big. The main one we'll never forget it. We called it the IndyMac video, is where One West Bank had a sweetheart deal with the FDIC to buy all IndyMac's failed assets or whatever it was. And I can't remember all the details of it, but that thing literally got millions and millions and millions of views. I'm not kidding. If I said it was 20, 30 million views, I would not be wrong. Other people were stealing it and then putting it on their YouTube page so that they could get the views and get the advertising for it. You know what I mean? So it's just millions and millions of views. And that was really what kind of propelled us and got us out there. Next thing you know, we're being asked to speak everywhere, and people are pawing on us, and people are standing in line to take pictures with us. And it was just really remarkable. It was a crazy, crazy journey and a wild ride. It really was. It was a once in a lifetime thing. We caught lightning in a bottle. Nothing special about me and Brian, I don't think. It was just, we happened to stumble on this and kept doing it because we saw something in it. And it kind of blew up. And that's,
hey, well, but you know what though, in not to focus on this, but really, Frank, you're kind of passing over. Talk about what you've told me this before, but you would crank out a video every day for 2 years before it even had real traction. But like the pain of getting those videos out, like y'all would literally shoot it in the afternoon, edit it through. Like how did you do? Like,
the way in the beginning is we would show up at the office, no lie. Brian and I would show up like wearing pajamas at like 3 o'clock in the morning, because we felt like we had to come up with something, shoot it, edit it, and release it that very day. And we had to do it early enough so that people who were, and there wasn't that many tuned into us on the East Coast, but there were some. So we felt obligated to
get it out by East Coast
early enough. So East Coasters had something. And so we would literally get to the office at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm not kidding you. We would get in there at 3 o'clock in the morning. We'd knock this thing out. And then back then, I mean, The
editing
video
was so cumbersome, man.
it was
All
so
the video.
hard.
Oh
And
yeah.
dude, we broke
There
stuff
was no
like
cap cut or anything easy now, man.
we were using Microsoft video editors. I mean, I was breaking it, like crashing it, like had to reboot the computer 3 times just to get it to finish its process of the rendering. And it was just nuts, man. And then we eventually
but listen, day in and day out and day in and day out
every day
without any traction. I mean,
not much.
You're gaining a few hundred here and there.
Yes.
But isn't that interesting? You know, I think people look at success and say, I heard somebody say this the other day. It was like, man, you're an overnight success. Yeah, they don't know how long that night took.
Yeah, it was a long night.
That was not one night. That was called years and years and years of discipline, man.
Yeah, it was. It really was. And we were committed to it though, because it was exciting. You know, it was cool. Like he's an artist too. Brian's an artist too. And we're both, you know, got a decent sense of humor, right? So that creativity and having a sense of humor and having this little outlet that we could kind of put that in there it was fun. You know, we looked forward to it every day, and we could see things improving and getting better and better. Then one day it just kind of, you know, there was a big boost, and the next thing you know, people were like, hey, can you guys come here? Hey, can you guys, you know, and what it was though too, Steve, is that during that time is everybody was desperate for something. Like it was so hard. It's like this what we're going through and what went through in 2020 doesn't even compare to what that was. That was apocalyptic. That exploded the entire world. Like countries went under because of that one, right? Yeah. So quite a bit different. But people were just like desperate for anything, what's going on. And me and Brian were talking about it. And so they would be riveted to us. They would tune in and just be riveted. And so that's what wound up happening.
Yeah. Well, hey, and then fast forward, you know, 2021, I mean, like you're sensing transition and change because, you know, what's been amazing is what you're doing now is so remarkable with the Loan Officer Breakfast Club. And we're seeing hundreds. I mean, upwards a couple of weeks ago, we had 500 loan officers from all over the country, all different companies joining a 30-minute Zoom 4 days a week to hear best practices, what's working, and how to stay focused and motivated on moving the needle in your personal production. So talk about that. Like you're doing the videos. How do you get transitioned over here over to the marketing?
You know, man, it's just, you know, we go through life chapters, right? We go through chapters in our lives. All of us do. You know, I wound up, when I turned 59, I was like, wow, 60s next year, you know, and I'm like,
hello.
So I was like, you know, I just felt like I needed a new chapter, man. And there were some other things going on that were kind of helping motivate me to maybe make a change. And I hit up my wife, and I never forget the morning I decided I was going to make a move, and told my wife, you know, hey man, I'm going to move on, you know, I'm do something else. And she goes, well, what are you going to do? I was like, I don't know. I
don't know.
Like, oh, that sounds reassuring. I was like, I don't know, man, but I know it'll be okay. And I talked to Brian that same day. I said, hey man, I got to go. And he was very cool. Like, oh, if you feel like you got to do it, man, he says, I get it, man. He goes, you know, I'm not you. You're not me. You're 10 years older than me. I don't know what I would be thinking at your age. So I get it. Do what you got to do. And he's like, where are you going? I was like, I don't know. And then I called a couple people in the industry, Carl being one of them, just to see if there was something that I might be able to do something different, right? Just change. And then it's so funny, brother. I don't know if you know this, but Carl.
No, well, listen, I'll tell you. You don't know. I was sitting on the porch with Carl when we sent that text.
Oh, really? Yeah. So that
we were sitting on the porch, Carl's porch. Yeah. And that's whenever we text you and he said, my man.
That's right. My man. Yeah. Well, even before that, when I first talked to Carl, this is like on a Friday or something. And I go, hey man, I'm thinking of doing something else. Have you had something? And Carl's giving me advice. Like, well, you should try this. And then maybe you should look at that. And you should do this and that and that. And that really wasn't what I was looking for. But I was like, okay, you know, that's cool. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. You know, but I think it was that Saturday that he called me back up and he goes, hey, wait a minute, brother. Were you talking like you wanted to be on the team kind of a thing? I was like, yeah, I mean, like if you got something, you know, he's like, Maria, get Frank here. We're going. Yes, you're on. I was like, okay. And so the text was, he wanted to fly me out, me and my wife out to meet with you guys. And we're at the airport, you know, in Sacramento heading to Florida. And he sends me that infamous text of, you know, hey
bro, what time you get up in the morning? Are you an early riser?
What time you wake up in the morning? I'm like, 3:30, 4 a.m. My man.
My man.
And I'm like, I don't know what he's
Ding,
cooking
ding,
up,
ding.
but it's going to be early. That's all I can tell you. Then we met, and it's a really great meeting. Of course, it was great. And then learned about Breakfast Club. But I tell you what, Steve, when you guys were first proposing this to me, right? I was like, okay, but I was kind of in my mind, I'm just kind of trying to explore it. Like, how do I see this? And, I didn't quite crystallize the picture of what you're saying, but kind of got it, and then, man, it was just, I was a little nervous about it, to tell you the truth. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can, but you kept saying, just play your guitar, man.
Just
want you to
play a riff.
Guitar, man. Just play your guitar. I'm like, what is he talking? Play my guitar, and I'm like, anyway, long story short, as we started to do it, because, Lone Officer Breakfast Club does revolve around the Daily Success Plan. It revolves around the Marketing Animals Coaching system, which I have grown to absolutely adore. Right. And that, I knew something of it, but not a lot about it when we first got started. So I had to immerse myself into animals, and I had to immerse myself into the culture, and, and kind of get acclimated to all of that and learn it and understand what we do, what we don't do, what we say, what we don't say. There was a process to that, Steve, if you remember it. It was probably about,
dude, you killed it. It was like, no, but I'll tell you, within 2 weeks, you had already got 80% of the language, the process, the structure. Dude, you're a phenomenal student, man. You just
I had to learn. I dove in. I was like, I need to know this inside and out. But I tell you what made it easy, bro, is that it's so awesome. It wasn't, so when I started diving in, I was like, I knew Carl had something going on, but I didn't know it was this epic. No idea. This is fantastic. And what I really appreciate about the Daily Success Plan is it's very much in line with what I've always believed, right? Very much. I've always believed that, that this is a business where we need to talk to people and have conversations. I love technology, and technology is cool and does a lot of benefits for us, right? But at the end of the day, we need to have some conversations with some people, and that's what's going to do it. And that's what the DSP revolved around. And so it was really cool, but I don't think I really got into a real good, like where Breakfast Club is today and how it runs and flows, and all that kind of stuff. I think that's probably about six to 8 months old. You get what I'm saying? Like, it took a while.
It's evolved.
To find a groove.
It had to keep. Yeah. Well, here's the thing: just because you start something doesn't mean it's a home run. You just keep massaging it and keep moving it. And man, that's what you've done so well. Is how do we keep a flow that's not only a great 30 minutes, but it literally is the best. Hey, when we just got off this morning, I've got a group text with everybody in our branch. And Frank, they're sitting there saying this morning's Lone Officer Breakfast Club was absolute fire. There's already like 15 messages about, taking action and getting a bigger cup. And literally, they're like, dude, this speaker this morning, because we had somebody, you brought in a guest, and it's fire, man. It's been a massaging for the last.
It has
for a while. Hey, and tell for our listeners who say, I don't even know what the Lone Officer Breakfast Club is. We're all in the Mortgage Marketing Animals family and community. So we do podcasts, we do 2-day boot camps. We have our Freedom Club, which is our a top tier coaching program that's helping loan officers have their best months ever. And we have literally like 6 podcasts in the industry. Carl writes books. I've got a book coming out. We do boot camps, Freedom Club, and the Loan Officer Breakfast Club. And it's like this cosmos of all of this.
It's incredible.
It is. And it's so talk about, because you run the Loan Officer Breakfast Club. You have envisioned it. You helped launch it out. It's your baby. And when we say playing guitar, it's Frank plays guitar, and actually dang good. When we were in California a month or 2 ago, we were playing that, brother.
We were jamming
play some guitar.
That was so
but
fun.
You're playing your song by leading the Breakfast Club because you're finding your rhythm.
I figured it finally really clicked with me what you really, now that I look back and I go, oh, this is what Steve meant. He meant
find that riff. He meant brother. Get that
be
melody.
Your creative self and be you and be creative. And so I remember it just kind of started clicking with me. It's like, okay, we can make this really fun, right? We can, because me, man, like through National Real Estate Post and Think Big, Work Small, it's got to be fun, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's got to be fun. And so I love Loan Officer Breakfast Club. I swear to you, bro, it is like I don't wake up every day going, oh God, I got to do another break. No, I wake up going, I can't wait to see what's going to happen today, because we never know. We never know what's going to come out on
Yeah.
Breakfast Club, but it's always awesome. And the other thing that's so important to me, and I've always been this way, and I don't know why, but what's really important to me is that when we get on Breakfast Club, there is no doom and gloom. We're not going to talk about the news. We're not going to get into any of that BS that's going to get in our way of getting some stuff done, right? We don't do that. We're always going to be positive. We're going to be motivated. We're going to be excited, right? We're going to be ready to tackle the day, man, because that's who we need to be. You know, if we want to do well at this and we want to take care of ourselves and our families, you know, we got to be on, baby. Let's go, you know, and that's what I really want to convey every morning is I just want to be, let's go, man. Let's get started. And I think it comes through and I get a lot of great feedback from it. Like, man, thank you, dude. Thanks for keeping me going.
There's no way you're 60-ish. No way. There's no way, bro. I mean, you're so.
Well, I am sitting down, so yeah.
I'm not standing up now.
Standing up. Yeah.
Well, but your energy and passion, man, it comes through at every single level. Hey, okay, so tell them, like, is there give somebody who isn't familiar with it, how do they get to the Loan Officer Breakfast Club? How do they plug in?
Yeah, it's so easy, and it's pretty easy. loanofficerbreakfastclub.com. That's the easiest way to get to it. It's just loanofficerbreakfastclub.com. And it's a Zoom registration. So you'll get there. There is a nice little landing page. I think there's a video there and we explain a little bit about what's going on, but just all you're doing is registering for the Zoom meeting. That's it. So we can get you the Zoom link. That's what it's all about. And so, yeah, it's just a registration page. Some people find us on Facebook. Ironically, Facebook has figured us out that, loan officers like you. And so they just send everybody over to us. And so you can join us on Facebook too.
What are there, like 14,000?
There's 14,000 on Facebook. Well, right. Just about 14,000 in the Facebook group, but as far as the email, the Zoom registration page is concerned, we're closely coming to 20,000. We're getting very close. Right? We're probably at about 17, 18,000, something like that. I think. I don't know. Diane will tell me on my next meeting with her. Yeah. But it's doing well. And we have goals, we have a vision. I would love for us to be for me, January 2024, I'd love us to have 20,000, 2025, 30. By 2027, I'd like to have at least 50,000 people registered for Loan Officer Breakfast Club. And I'd love us to have, right now we probably average, our averages have steadily gone up as far as people that are on the actual live call. I remember when we were doing it in the very beginning, it was like, we got 100, yes, but now it's like, if it's not 400, we're like, a
little low today.
Yeah. But I would love to see that, I would love to see us over 1,000, every single day. And and why not? And the thing I love about Breakfast Club, brother, is we see it every day on Breakfast Club. We got people that are in the business 1 month on there, and we got people that have been in the business 30, 40 years on Breakfast Club, and everybody gets the same benefit. It's like, it doesn't matter what your longevity is in the business or the shortness of it, right? You will get the same benefit. You know why? Because that plan is a universal plan that absolutely applies to every single originator or team right? Regardless of tenure in this business, it just absolutely applies. Today we had Andreas.
Hey, well, that's what I was going to say. Like Andreas
years.
Today. Yeah, 20 years in the business. And you got a guy, him and Colin are sharing how in December, they broke into a whole different market. They were in California, went to Florida, and in about 60 days or so are now getting 2 to 4 leads a day. Right. And who wouldn't want to hear what they're doing to move the needle, to meet with new qualified agents, to get 2 to 4 relationally referred leads a day in a brand new market?
That's right.
And what others would say is a tough time.
Horrible market. Like, this doesn't make any sense.
Well, hey, why wouldn't you want to hear what they're doing? Because what they're doing is working.
It works. That's what I mean. It applies to everybody. It doesn't matter where you are. One thing that I really fear for our veterans out there is that I fear that they might feel like they don't need something like this. Like, well, I already know everything. Well, okay, maybe even if you do know it, are you doing it? Yeah. Right? Are you implementing it? And if the answer to that's no, then maybe you should show up, because I can tell you, after a few days of Breakfast Club, you're gonna be like, God dang it, I got to get going. You know what I mean? I got to get doing this thing. We have transformed veterans' lives on Breakfast Club and Mortgage Marketing Analyst Pro all day, every day. Like, it happens all the time. It's just, And here's the thing, man. You can never, you should never think you know it all. You should.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest inspirations I have from Carl White. Is Carl White is an habitual student of success. Habitual.
That's a great way to say that.
He's a habitual student of success. He never stops looking, learning, getting coached, right, by other people and other ways to see what can he do better. He's never stopped. He's done it his whole career. You know what I mean? And that's why he's where he's at, man. He's got a great thing going on. It's a remarkable company. You're there. Incredible. What a find in you. Oh my God. I can't tell you how amazing you are to be a part of this organization, Steve. You inspire me every day too. Every day. Like, I'm done to dig up podcast 207 immediately. As soon as we're done, I'm going to podcast 207.
Well, I'll never forget. A friend of mine told me this about 4 or 5 years ago, and he said, Steve, life moves at the speed of relationships. And what I love about what we're doing is, in the season of our lives, God's called us and allowed us to link arms together. And where 1 + 1 used to equal 2, 1 + 1, you and me, plus Carl, 3, now equals like 50, plus Tammy and Diane and Coach Mary and Coach Rick. And what's happening is there's a community that's creating, we call it about living in the draft. It's where when you go faster together than you do by yourself.
Right.
And that's just what's remarkable, man. And so this is an accelerated year, an accelerated season in your life and my life and Carl's life. And for those who are linking arms with us, because they're seeing massive results when others are concerned. Listen, I loved what he said today. It was Andreas said, hey, there are days I still have call reluctance, but guess what? Yeah. When I get on Call Stars, I got a few hundred of my friends encouraging me to get on the calls and make the calls, because it's what moves the needle the most. It doesn't mean you don't feel fear. It's just, in my community, it's what helps me break through the fear. So I love it, man.
I love it too. And I'd say this is the thing that really stands out to me about our coaching and Mortgage Marketing Animals Freedom Club is this is coaching where, because there's not a lot of this out there. I know there's a lot of coaching. I know it all has its merits. They all have their merits, right? Every coaching program has its merits, right? But where I think Animals and Freedom Club really is set apart is that our coaching it's Monday. 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. This is what you're doing. This is how you say it. This is who you're calling. This is the script. This is how you overcome the objection. It's like, and it's Tuesday. And this is what we're doing Tuesday, where it's not, you know what I mean? It's not
obscure. It's very,
nuts
very
and
thought
bolts.
out.
This is how I'm going to get a deal in the pipeline. Okay. This is how I'm going to build a relationship with a referral source that's going to feed me for years to come. Right. That's what this is all about. It's not, and there's nothing wrong with the other stuff. I'm not saying there is, but I know there's a lot of other coaching out there that is cerebral in nature, right? And we need that. We do got to have our head on straight, but there's a lot of cerebral stuff and good stuff, right? But if you want to get down to brass tacks, like, what the heck do I do today to get a deal in the door?
Hey, how many calls do I have to make to get how many talk tos, to set how many appointments, to have how many keep, to start actually referring me deals? Like,
correct.
That's tactical.
That's very tactical coaching. That's a great way to say it. It is so tactical in nature and so immediately implementable, right? It doesn't require that I create content or, learn softwares or, it's none of that. It's like, look, man, this is extremely this is guerrilla warfare here, baby. We're going to get down and dirty. We're going to get into the trenches. We're going to go wrestling, and we're going to win. And we'll just show you exactly how to do it. That's what I love about the coaching program. That's what I adore about it. It's like so cool.
Hey, well, tell us this as we start to wrap up the episode. What's your closing thoughts, man? You've got listeners from all the entire spectrum, brand new in the business to 40 years in the business. And some are a little nervous. Some know a plan and are executing and having their best months ever. What would you encourage our listeners with, or what would your thoughts be for them?
I would just say this, man, and take it from me. And I've been doing this for 35 years, right? We can all learn, right? We don't know it all. We do not know it all. And I would say, make sure you realize that and understand I don't know it all. And then the other thing that I would tell everybody is that there's a better way. There's a better way than feeling like you have to be the superhero loan officer that does every single thing every single day, and nobody else can do it as good as me. Therefore, I must work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and destroy my family and destroy my personal life to be a successful originator.
Yeah.
There's a better way. And there's a way that this business is a business. You are not a loan officer. I'll just phrase this. Stop it. You're not a loan officer. You're a business owner. Put this thing together like a business. Do you think your CEO's worried about that pay stub? Right? You think you work for XYZ Mortgage? Pick one. You think your CEO's worried about that pay stub coming in? He's not. You know why? Because he got you to worry about it. Okay, but here's the other thing. You should change your mindset. You need to be the CEO of your business, and you can be a CEO of your business in somebody else's business. You can do that in the mortgage industry. It's one of the most remarkable things about the mortgage industry. I can run a business inside of somebody else's business. It's outrageously cool, right? But you can be the CEO of your own business. You do that. Be a business owner, not a loan officer. You can have other people on your team worried about the pay stub, and they'll get it. They'll hunt it down. Right? You don't have to be the one to do it. You know, it's not a pipe dream. This is real. Freedom Club. The word freedom is in it for a reason, right? We want to have some freedom. We want to be able to structure what we do as a business so that we can actually do more. When you structure it as a business, you can grow, you can scale, you can do amazing. You know, next week we're going to have Devin Dubuque on
the Loan Officer Breakfast
Club as a member spotlight. He's a guy's got a team. He's doing 40 plus deals a month and growing and expanding in the refi. Well, he was doing 300.
Well, the interesting thing with Devin too was they were a 100% refi shop a year and a half ago. And literally in May, when it crashed, he found us at the Freedom Club. He's a Freedom Club member and has now turned the entire shop around to a purchase money. And they are structured a little bit more like a call center, but he has fully implemented the daily success plan and transformed his business from literally saying, we may have to shut the doors to absolutely thriving. And so that's the kind of conversation we have in the Breakfast Club. And man, that's exciting to hear, man.
There's a better way, everybody.
There is a better way.
You don't have to be a loan officer.
Yeah.
You can be a business owner,
an entrepreneur,
in the mortgage business, an entrepreneur, and make a lot of money and do way more business than you're doing now. Way more, and be able to go home at night and have dinner with your family. Yeah. You know, and make it all
have a
work,
life of freedom, man.
You can have a life of freedom. It's real. It's not BS. There's a way to get it done. And if that intrigues you, then come find us. You can start with Loan Officer Breakfast Club to dip your toe in the water, but promptly find yourself in marketing animals and then get your butt into Freedom Club so that you can get a coach who comes alongside you to help you put that business together. I love it. That's what I would say.
Well, Frank, we love you, man. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, man. Always a pleasure.
All right, man. See you.
See you guys.
Okay. I got it. Hey, if you enjoyed that episode with Frank, I just want to encourage you, go to freedomplanningcall.com, freedomplanningcall.com. If it resonates with you and you say, you know what, I hear that there's a plan. I hear there may be a better way. I'd love for someone to help take 45 minutes to an hour. Myself or someone on my team will be happy to help you map out what we call a whiteboard of what 12 months looks like and then 90 days, and then how to begin to immediately implement that into your business. Go to freedomplanningcall.com. And we'd love for you to join forces, link arms with us as we continue to have our best months and our best year ever in this industry. We've come up with a phrase to outperform the boom. We genuinely believe it. We're seeing people with massive results in our branch, in our teams, in our organization, members in our Freedom Club that are literally having their best months ever because they've got a plan. They know what to do. There's accountability. They're leaning into the structure that's helping them grow and focus on what they love to do, what they're the best at, and what makes them the most money. Go to freedomplanningcall.com. We would love to link arms and to be a part of your journey and story. And so, hey, and also thank you so much for all of the great reviews that you're giving on the podcast. It absolutely helps us in the rankings. And if you go and give a review on the podcast, I'm going to give you an ethical bribe. Send a picture of your review with an address, and we're going to send you a Mortgage Marketing Animals tumbler for giving us a review. And just want to thank you for that. I see App Specialist just gave us a review, and it says, I love Steve's podcast. They're so informative and practical to apply to my business. It's a must listen to anyone in the industry. Thanks, Steve, for all of your scripting and wisdom. And just appreciate that. App Specialist is who gave us that review. But give us a review. We'll send you a Yeti, not a Yeti, but a tumbler, a Mortgage Marketing Animals tumbler. So send us your address and your name to support@themarketinganimals.com for an honest review. Thank you for that. Make sure you subscribe. That way you get the episodes as they are released each week. And then share it with 2 loan officers, 2 people that need to hear this today. Would you stop right now and share it with 2 people, just 2? Who do you know right now that needs to hear this episode? Send it out. We'd love that as well. Thank you for being on this journey. And remember this, anything worth doing is worth doing badly. Just get started. See ya.